Scott Potts and Jeff Scott.
Oh, that is too sweet. Good point. All right, so I'll call the meeting to order. We can just go around, I guess, and maybe state who's here for the record.
Kathy Haynes.
Mike Wolf.
Casey Blankmiller.
Warren Small.
Billy Cook.
Dennis Moreno.
George Donald, GCA.
Jeff Scott.
And Maren Twardowski. So, shall we start with GCA, I guess, since they're all here?
It's
All
your
right.
call. I mean, I actually added a couple things, so
Okay.
I don't know if you want to go through the small things and then,
I was going to say, do you have a couple things we can cross off
Yeah.
quick? So I think you guys are going to be the majority of the discussion, sorry, so. Okay.
I've got to leave at 7.
Okay.
okay, I will make a lot of these very, very quick. Direct energy demand response, that's when we turn the power off during the summer on the real hot days. We get paid money for that. Direct Energy came back with a proposal of 80-20, so their split is 80% for the PJM payments come to us, 20% they take. Enernoc was 70-30, NRG was 50-50, and the fourth company said no thank you. So we need to get in their program pronto. So my request is to send this off to Lawrence so he can send it to supers to make sure we're in compliance with everything. It's a 3-year deal. First year payments would be $19,689. Second year would be $27,853. Third year would be $14,857 for a grand total of $62,399. So
We're currently with the 70-30.
we're currently 70-30 with Converge. So, and that's what they came back with. That was the other company that came back with was 70-30. And Direct Energy Flat said we're doing 80-20. You buy your utility from us now. That's who we purchase our commodity electric from. So they said, your existing customer, we're going to do 80-20. So. My recommendation is we go with Direct Energy, and like I said, this would have to be voted on, I believe, Monday night, so we can get into their program.
Why the difference in the year-over-year savings?
It's all PJM, Philadelphia Gas and it's Philadelphia something manages the electrical grid, and what they do is they buy 3 years ahead of time. So 3 years ago, they purchased the demand response for these next 3 years already. So it's all hedged. Now, you can go with companies who will hedge it for you. You're definitely rolling the dice at that point, because if they don't hit their numbers with their hedge, we get a lot less money. So Direct Energy has already purchased a certain amount of kilowatt that they're going to provide PJM the reduction in usage. We're 636 kilowatts. Direct Energy may have already said to them, "Hey, we're gonna save you 20,000 kilowatts." Well, now Direct Energy's on the hook for that money. They've already bought those rights, kind of thing. It gets really complicated, and there's a whole lot of stuff I don't even understand with it. But our rate is based on our kilowatt savings through PJM. So it's just a matter of who wants to take more of the pie or less of the pie, who we go with. That's all it is. So,
Point of reference, when Boone first entered into this agreement back in before Casey and I were here, this money, any revenues realized under demand response are earmarked for capital.
Right. Yeah.
so I can,
I mean,
I'll send this off.
we're saving money. I don't really have an issue. I mean, I don't think we've had any problems with what we've done in the past.
No, and
I mean, we've had a couple complaints, but they were not real complaints, I don't think.
I just hate to put something on the voting meeting that we hadn't seen on the cow, but it's a no-brainer anyway. I mean, I shouldn't say a no-brainer,
What's the
but
deadline to have it out, Casey?
I think we need to have it. I can find out from Chris tomorrow. I didn't reach out to him today to find that out, but I can ask him when the last deadline is. Maybe if we can put it on the
Committee of the
cow
whole
and
for next for
vote
April.
on it. If we can wait till then.
yeah, I don't think it's not a controversial, just, I mean, we're going to have to vote on it pending solicitor review.
Right.
But,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
if it can be pushed to
Okay.
April, fine.
Alright.
If it needs
fine.
to, no problem. We'll put it on for Monday.
All right. I thought we had
Saving
more
money,
time, but
hopefully.
he,
Yeah, when it comes to saving money, which you don't often bring to us, we got to get those on the calendar, those on the voting meeting right away.
I heard it from Mike Wolf first.
I see. Yeah, so just let's, well, actually, is there stuff well, there's nothing else on here that we have to vote on this month, right?
no, the only other thing would that really, and the
I know we got
Dolphin
pushed back.
Electric can wait, but these need to get approved. Here is the next two beautification designs that would need to be approved to get board approval. I have no problems with any of these. You know, I think they're very nice designs.
Did they reach the count?
Yeah, so,
All right, yeah, I think,
Okay.
is everybody okay with them?
Yeah.
All right.
all right.
I don't, do they need to go back to the, I don't think that really has to go back to the board,
Can't
does
the,
it?
I mean, does that really have to get approved by us? Like, can't the
told.
principal say it's okay?
Well,
I mean, it just seems
I
like.
think this came out of when one of the principals wanted to put a plaque in over for the auditorium over at the middle school.
Yes, that
Well, that's
had
a
somebody
difference.
else's name on it or
Yeah,
something.
so
Yeah.
that's where it started. I don't think it does. I don't think,
It just
personally,
seems
I don't,
silly, yeah.
I don't think I want to be voting on something like that.
No.
Well, just be a part of tomorrow's FYI.
Yeah.
Committee report.
Okay.
Done.
Yeah, I mean,
You're not
it's,
voting.
All right. Then I'll just hit these real quick. Dolphin Electric LED light upgrades, high school hallways and gym. The hallways is taking out the existing fluorescent bulbs, putting in LEDs. The ballast stays in place. So it's just a bulb for bulb swap. There's over 500 bulbs to be installed. We would do that during the summer with the staff from GCA. As they're cleaning the light fixtures, they can just pop the bulbs out, put new bulbs in.
So they screw in just like
The
a.
same
Just like a normal
Fluorescent?
bulb, yep.
Okay.
Instead of having an igniter in the fixture, the ballast is igniter. They've now designed the LED bulbs for that reason. So
Slick.
most schools, when they want to go and upgrade, they do a ballast and bulb swap out. I don't see the expense needed to change out many ballasts that probably work just fine. We can change them out as we need to. The ballasts are $12, kind of thing. So it's just a maintenance issue. Cost for it, just so you know, would be $5,830. Payback is 1.3 years, based on the hours that we have the hallway lights on. So these would only be the main all the main hallway lights at the high school.
1.5?
1.3 year payback.
1.3.
Oh, 1.3.
So this is the high school.
This is the high school.
What about middle school? What about AEC?
Those lights aren't on as long because the lights at the high school get turned on at 6 o'clock. And I think your payback's gonna be real close to that as well. So I can start this was kind of the first run to see where the numbers came in at. I saw 1.3 years, I'm like, wow, that's a no-brainer at that point. And then the other one that I had them do was the gym lights at the high school. There's 36 fixtures,
what's the life expectancy of those lights?
50,000 hours, 17 years. It's based on about 3,200 hours worth of run time.
For school board terms.
Yeah.
Not my school, not me, just somebody's school.
They last 17 years, but the full intensity isn't 17 years. It might be like 13 years.
Right.
Well, whatever, if it's
They
10.
start to fade towards the end.
Yeah.
If it's 10.
But it's still,
great.
you easily get your money back.
Yeah. The gym lights, there again, cost would be $9,540. Payback would be 1.8 years. That is a bulb for bulb swap. We would take the existing bulb out. And I've already put some of these LED bulbs in our high school gymnasium. It screws right in the socket and you bypass the ballast. So you reuse the fixture, you just take the cover off because the LED bulb has a polycarbonate lens on it already. It has the igniter inside of it, it has the cooling fan inside of it. It's a self-contained bulb. So and that includes deferred maintenance, as we did when we did Amity's cafeteria. with the bulb change out and ballast change out, that has lift rentals in there that we would save over time, so on and so forth. So it's probably going to be less than a 1.8 year payback on that. So we'll hit that
So
one
does
then.
that 9540 include the lift rental or the lift rental?
That includes the lift rental.
Okay. So, Lauren, are those things that need approved by the board, or are those just things that can fall under maintenance?
We're under $10,000, I could call this maintenance.
And it's just materials. It's just materials. So.
I'm okay with it. I just want to make sure that,
Okay. Well, and
we don't,
We did
somebody
approve
doesn't
the
come back
gym
6 months
Somebody-
from
middle
now.
school, I mean,
Somebody
for
doesn't-
Amity,
And-
that was a lot
Start talking
more-
about
that was a lot
billing
more money,
orders
wasn't it?
and
It was
whatever
like-
else.
It was more because we changed fixtures out. We
Yeah.
did the whole
That was like
9 yards.
20,000 or something.
They
As long
didn't
as
have
we
the
don't
reliable.
come along a year from now and add the middle school to it, because you're into next fiscal year with this. I don't want to be stacking.
Well, this would be this fiscal, could be this
I
fiscal
think we're
year.
doing it this summer.
My intent would be to buy the
bulbs now.
before the end of the fiscal, so we have them. So we have everything on site as their staff starts rolling through.
Okay. You're going to do the work.
And I'll price up the middle school and I'll do all that if you want everything together because it's
Well,
just materials.
If we're gonna do that, then we're gonna be into quotes.
Right, but if you buy this stuff now and do it over the summer and you do the middle school next year,
Can you submit each building or each area separately?
no, it's
a project.
total. for-
Total like
Believe
commodity.
me. If there was a way around it, everybody would be getting around it. Believe me. Okay, so then, when
that's
we have
that
the money
one.
in the budget this year, right, Lauren? We got money in the budget this year, we can cover
We'll
that.
double check tomorrow, but
Okay.
see where Casey's ended up the year here.
Okay. Gym floor recoatings. We're looking at $13,000 to do all of the gymnasiums. And that also includes a 2-coat of Amity Elementary's floor. That finish is starting to peel up. To do a full sand and recoat just at Amity would be $14,260. The vendor says, I don't think you need to do that. He goes, I can sand it very hard that I don't get into the paint, and then I put a 2 coats on it. I'll loosen up pretty much everything at that point, doing a hard sanding. We'll cut it out, and then we'll do a 2 coat on it rather than just one.
Didn't we just do this
You do them every year.
every year?
Every year. Yep. I didn't do them the first year I was here because I just didn't, with everything else that was going on, and we didn't spend the money, but it's an every year. So just for example, high school main gym is $2,700, auxiliary gym is $1,900, middle school, both gyms is $3,100, Amity Elementary, 2 coats, $2,700, Monocacy is $1,000, Birdsboro is $1,600. It's the same contractor I used last year,
Who's the contractor?
Mastercraft.
Because isn't there another product out there? I remember there was another product that they used that they could get a couple years out of it.
You can do the oil bases. It's a very high
This
VOC.
wasn't oil, this was water, but you could get 2 years out of it.
With the way our gyms are used, I mean, you don't want to spend the money. You can get 2 years out of it. It's just not recommended.
Like, what you risk damaging what the floor
The
itself?
finish will start failing, and then
There
you
are
can get into
other
the wood and
products,
stuff like
maybe we
that.
can, I don't know. I
What's
know
the
that
total?
I did the research at Ole.
They're $13,000.
You have a contact there that?
I can contact somebody from Ole to see I can't remember the name of it, but I can text somebody.
Yeah. Maybe they didn't have good luck with it afterwards, or they didn't like it, or.
I know we had
See,
the
I have to
vendor
see.
come in and they did it and they guaranteed it. All they can do is ask. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, just ask them because
Why not?
I mean, every school district does them every single year.
And this was one of those things where you don't have to do them every year. This was the selling point of this, whatever it was.
Well, it'd be less work less hassle if we didn't have to do it every year.
Well, and then the other question is, and I hate to say it, but do you do burst for them?
Well, and
Well,
that's-
the gym gets
They
used,
still
never
use it for
mind.
those.
Because we're used, but again, that's one of those things when, now, at some point, you're just gonna be using that for outside organizations, so then, do we call it
You-
cover
you
that, or
just-
do we
what
tell
happens is you
organizations
start
they
The
using-
gotta
youth,
chip
the
in?
youth organizations use those pretty
Right.
hard, so.
you start to lose your shine after about 6-8 months. So, the finish is still there. It's just you don't have that nice look anymore.
Well, that we don't have to know this month. We could do that next month, right?
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
I'll let you know, Casey.
How much of that is labor?
I don't have them break it out. It's one day. Like Birdsboro's gym, they come in, they sand it, they prep it, and they coat it the same day.
I'm just curious, like,
Yeah.
if you're doing it every year, wouldn't it make sense to train someone to do it? If it's a high labor function?
It's not a big high labor function, but if you don't do it right, you have puddles and streaks, and it looks awful.
Yeah.
And that I
Or
can
do
tell
your
you,
own floors?
I've seen I
do,
many
it's
of gym
not-
floor where
Mine aren't
custodians have
perfect.
tried to do it, and it's awful.
It's a science.
It is. There's a process to it.
All right.
I think it's a lot like doing your own floors.
Take your word for
Mine,
it.
I've done mine twice, and neither time they came out perfect.
Correct. I have puddles in mine, and I'm like, it's only polyurethane. Trust me. It's high school clock systems. We have the annex, which is 650 some years old. We have the high school, the new part, which is 20 plus years old. The annex side, after spring ahead for an hour, probably about half of them have not adjusted correctly after a week. So we're starting to have issues. I'm having a very hard time finding replacement clocks that will work with the custom timing that has been installed with the old master clock system.
Wait, clock system? You mean they're not all just like clocks?
LEDs.
They're all
No,
tied
they're
together?
all mechanical
I didn't know
clocks.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, but they're
So every night at 6 o'clock or 6 a.m. a signal is sent out, so they adjust. All right.
Mine just adjusted when I started out the door.
Yeah.
huh? I
So
didn't know.
yeah, so
Okay.
they'll adjust. So the old system that's at the annex, I had Berkshire Systems up because I had bought clocks as a replacement. The new clocks don't recognize the signal that is sent out, even though it says it does. Because and there's a whole, and I don't understand it enough to be honest with you. They have just somebody at Berkshire Systems that does nothing but clocks because it's that complicated. There's a process to it. So they are looking at what a replacement system would be. The system, the Telecore system that is at our high school on the new part, we have issues with that all the time. Clocks are failing, communication goes down. If Preston and Aaron were here, they would tell you that there have been numerous issues there. And the problem is the Telecore system does not talk to the annex system. So the two systems don't talk to each other. So Kenny has to literally set it by his phone and try to set it right when the minute changes so the clocks are the same time throughout the whole school.
I have a
And the
stupid question.
issue is what?
They're not resetting.
But
and
do
No,
we-
but I
they're
mean,
not-
like, what
and
if
they're
they're all
not keeping
telling?
time.
What if they're all telling a different time? Like, what is that?
Class times, the teachers will dismiss their kids not thinking they didn't hear the bell.
So the bells are synced to the clocks, or no?
No. That's the other part that's the problem.
Well, I
Well,
said,
that-
do you really in this day and age? Do you
That's
really
the part
need
I'm like
clocks?
shocked by, is that we really have to have the clocks all.
I mean, everybody has a cell phone or a watch or
You
some.
would be surprised how many teachers still, they rely by their clocks.
Well, but can't we just tell them to rely on the bell?
Well,
Anyway,
you can gladly make that decision. I'm
I'm
just
just
letting you
saying.
know that I'm going to be bringing proposals to
Alright.
you for
I'm
clocks
just
at the high
asking the
school.
question. I'm not shooting
I-
a messenger
I-
here. I just don't.
So
It's just,
is this system that
I'm
looking at
baffled.
the satellite-driven system?
We're looking at the Wi-Fi, we're looking at the wired ones, we're looking at a variety of systems to see what's going to work best for that application. Okay? Sorry.
you and me both. I'm thinking, yeah. But
just walkie-talkie update, that we have them, they're getting programmed. Hopefully they'll be in all the offices here shortly. High school rekey update, contractor's been on site numerous nights. I have to get some keys to the administration at the high school because there's some that are changed for locker rooms and stuff like that. I don't want to give them a whole box of keys and then they lose track of where the keys belong. So I'll get them tomorrow. The athletic courier van discussion, as we've discussed, the courier van is 126,000 miles, I think, on it. The two athletic vans have about 55 to 60,000. there's many times where the courier van is used by athletics because the other two vans are being used, or, special education is using one of the athletic vans to transport the kids, and athletics needs both vans. We're in definite need for another van. George and I have been talking. We're going to put a proposal together about purchasing a small van, like one of those little Ford Transit vans or whatever it is for the courier. The white van would be moved into IT and athletics. So IT would use that during the day when athletics does not need it to transport their stuff back and forth, and also to use it to go from school to school. So the mileage charge would be reduced by the staff there. That would be traveling around from building to building, and then the courier would
What's the IT need a van for?
they have staff that goes from the high school to Birdsboro to Amity to Monocacy. Their people travel around. So our thought was, while that van's not being used, their staff could use that van instead of using their cars.
So they're traveling around because what, they're fixing
Servicing the schools,
like
yeah.
land type work.
Yep. So Scott Matz is in agreement with it, and that way they can transport stuff in the van rather than transporting stuff in people's personal cars as well. So we'll have a proposal for you, kind of show you kind of what our thoughts are. So just want to kind of let you know.
The rekey update. We had already purchased all the
That's all the hardware and stuff.
hardware
Yeah.
and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
GCA ended up hiring the installer that we always get from AG Morrow. They have contracted him to do the work after hours.
And okay, do we have an ETA on when that'll be done?
I think he's going to be done within the week. 2 weeks. Yeah, two more nights. I think he said.
Okay.
He'd be here. So, I believe all the classrooms are done. It's just a matter, again, like all the closets and old bathrooms and all that kind of stuff. All the deadbolts.
So all the doors that
What about
weren't locking that were supposed to be locking are locking.
Correct.
In the bathroom you had to break into, how'd you make out with that?
We didn't break the door in yet because the door's not here yet. So once the new door comes in, there's gonna be a lot of noise down there because the only thing we're gonna do is sledgehammer it open. That's all we're gonna be able to do.
You can't pick it.
No, because the locking mechanism is a spline. It's a female-male spline, the length of the door, and it's of course broken locked. So
And
we have to
nobody
actually,
has a key.
we
I
actually
mean,
have to break the aluminum spline. Is what we're gonna have to do. So we'll do it some night after hours.
To cut it.
That'll be a good for frustration.
Yeah.
So,
You should let the students do it, like a buck a swing with a sledgehammer.
a couple items that were not on here. Key card access.
Revenue.
The second vendor brought his proposal in. He's about $45,000 to $50,000 cheaper than Berkshire Systems. Berkshire Systems was about $170,000. He's right around $115,000, $120,000. I think through our conversations, I think you forgot a couple doors. So I don't want to bring you the official proposal if it's wrong. I want to go through it with a fine-tooth comb and make sure we're not missing anything. So this would be
No,
key
it's
card
just-
access.
it's not.
I added it on. I just forgot to let you guys. I forgot to put it on here. So once I verify everything with that, I will bring you the official proposals for that. We had a little issue today. The middle school tennis courts had about 4 or 5 foot of ice on them along where the black nets are, where the windscreens are. The tennis coach decided to use salt and ice scrapers and choppers to remove the ice. I found out, I went over, I was told he was working on the snow. I thought it was snow, not realizing it was ice. I got there around 11:30. I realized what he was doing. I walked down and I said, hey, you can't use that here. He goes, well, my experience with tennis courts far exceeds yours, so that's just the way it's going to be. I said, well, I'm just telling you, everything I've ever been taught, you never use anything metallic or any salt on these types of finishes because they'll make them fail. He goes, so you're telling me I can't use this? I said, I would prefer you not. Yes, I don't want you using it. He goes, fine. He loaded up his stuff and he left. I then proceeded to call Amity Township. I called Allie from Amity Township. I said, can you please come over? I need you to show the damage that is on these courts. They're bad. Luckily, it's not much of it is on the playing surface, but it's still the finish, it's still the painting. And here, the township redid those 3 years ago. So George then came over, met with us. I told George I don't appreciate the way I was talked to. Mike Marino was there with me, and Mike says, you handled yourself very well, because if it would have been me, I probably would have hit the guy. I just want to make everybody aware of that.
Is Amity responsible for that, or are we going to be responsible?
We are going to be responsible for the repairs. And they're pretty
Did they
substantial.
have practice today?
They're supposed to have a match tonight.
Is that
Nobody called.
I would
Nobody.
say, is that the coach's job to set up the? I mean, I'm not taking it outside the tennis court, but like if the football coach saw something wrong with the football field, are they going to take care of it themselves, or are
This
they going to
guy,
call maintenance? Call you?
Allie from the township wants this guy removed. He does not want him on the tennis courts because he's had nothing but problems with this coach for many years. So I calmed Allie down. We had a good conversation with George. Mike was there, so if you guys want to talk to Mike about it, he can fill you in as well. Mike was not aware you can't use salt on the tennis courts. So he provided the coach a bag of salt, and I said, you're just trying to help out. I said, but you don't ever do it,
Considering his attitude, it's probably a good idea that he did that and didn't try to fight him on it.
Right, and Mike knows the type of guy this guy is.
Yeah.
So I want to make everybody aware of it. I have about 30 pictures on my phone. I'm going to download them into my computer today, tonight, either from home or whatever. But I just want to make everybody aware of it.
Well, if they had a match, how doesn't, like, to Tamara's point, don't they normally would call like George and say, hey, the courts aren't prepared? I mean, how can I have my match?
He told George he was working on it.
He told George he was.
Gary told him, who's the tennis coach, that he was working on the courts. And like I said, he was so belligerent to me.
If their township technically owns the courts, then
We do maintenance.
Yeah, we do all
on
maintenance,
fields and
grass and all
courts
that stuff.
yeah,
Because
we
they're-
being who, like not
It's
the
at
coach.
School district. The school district. GCA.
Like, can we let the coaches know, like, officially,
And this has been an ongoing battle
Like,
since
holy
I've been
cow.
here, of coaches just doing what they want, when they want, and how they want. And I
So
told
what do
George,
you-
I told George he needs to rein his staff in. I mean, he just does.
God forbid we could get them to
Well-
rake a ball field after a game.
Well, they just need.
Just rock salt.
Do we know what potassium chloride or magnesium?
Just it's halite rock salt. Just the
So
bag.
if we were to provide maybe a three-way product without that, would that be?
You can't use
Can't use
anything,
any of that? Okay.
because it gets into the coating, because that coating's just so thin, it gets in there. It won't do it the first year, it won't do it the second year, but if you use it year after year after year, it will fatigue that coating.
Beet juice? Can't use magnesium juice?
Yeah.
So, the whole thing is, everybody had warm weather, and now it snowed, and now they don't understand. They got to just take a step back and understand. They got to wait. Mother Nature will take care of it. So
It would have been fine probably by, yeah.
it's just
Where did he go for his meet? Where did he go for his meet if he had to have a tennis meet tonight?
they canceled.
That's what they should have done this morning.
That's what
George
I
should have
said.
done.
That's what I said. So, just want to make you aware of it. I can show people if you want to see pictures. I can show you that. The Amity.
I'm gonna hop over them to the GCA because Lauren wants to.
Okay.
And so
All right,
we
go
can
ahead.
come back to the
Yeah, that's fine.
AC stuff, but I appreciate you guys coming tonight. I know we've had some concerns about staffing and maintenance staffing, and summer's coming, and so that's one of the reasons we asked you guys to come. So, I mean, do we maybe you can address some of that concern, and then we can go over other stuff? Or, I mean, do you have a plan for spring, summer?
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we definitely have a plan for spring and summer, also, we have additional staff, but also we've got a contractor, Halter, who's agreed to take on some of those duties as well. And,
Just temporarily.
Yeah.
Speaking with some folks with the district, we understand the importance of those athletic fields. I've spoken with Casey a couple times. What we've done internally is we've decided to give a boost in our wage rate, but that doesn't mean we're still finding folks that aren't passing a background check. So without any disruption to the athletic fields, what we're doing is we're going to have our guys, Mike Marino and his staff, focus on those athletic fields, and Halter is going to come in during the spring sports, just during the spring sports season, and assist with the schools north of 422. And then after the spring sports season, he'll go back down to the southern ones. That way, there's no disruption to the athletic fields. Talking with Mike Marino, Mike Marino is that's what he would like to do too. That way, we can at least put attention to detail on something instead of hiring somebody like Halter to take care of the athletic fields. Mike knows what he's doing with those athletic fields. So we'd rather have somebody experienced with that come in and take care of those fields. I'm just speaking for grounds.
Okay.
I can't speak for custodial or maintenance.
Well, we've had some major concerns with maintenance and not having staff. And I know you've done some hiring of contractors like the door company, but I guess my concern, what's your plan to get those people in place? Because if we're not doing maintenance in the long run, it doesn't matter what we saved in the short run. It's going to cost us money in the long run. So, leaky faucets, toilets that need to stop running, HVAC systems. I mean, what's your plan to try to get people in place that can handle that kind of stuff?
Well, we got some individuals in one of our other operations that will come over and assist us in that. If we are behind, I'd like to take a closer look at those items and see what those pressure points are, so we can make sure that we are prioritizing. We'll give it a case and prioritize that work, and make sure that it's taken care of. And if push comes to shove, we'll bring a contract in if we have to, but we definitely want to make sure that those things are taken care of and done as per schedule. So.
It didn't sound like to me that it was this. What I heard was it's not the number of tickets, the amount, the sheer volume. It was the skill set of the person being assigned did not match the whatever the item was that they were being asked to do. That seems to be, in my perception, what the issue was.
And I'll just have a couple examples written down, but I can tell you, a couple examples are, we had a compressor that was bad. It took them 23 and a half hours to diagnose a compressor that was bad. The unfortunate part was we had one guy on a ladder, one guy standing there holding the ladder for him. I can run a report on the work order of who was there, and it's always two people. It's always two people all the time together doing very minimal things. 23 and a half hours to diagnose a bad compressor. It should have been an hour or two, maybe 3, if you've replaced the part, tried it, so on and so forth. So my concern is, and I've expressed this to Doug about the staff being together. That still continues to happen. I have prioritized based on the guy's skill sets, who gets what work orders now, and that has helped. But there's many times where we have a faucet at Birdsboro. First work order was in November. The information I was provided was wrong 5 or 6 times. Finally, I went over, took my own pictures, took my own measurements, ordered the parts, and now today they want to put them in, and here they've just changed the way the stem is made. It's bigger, so I need to get new handles. Fine, it happens, but that's the kind of stuff that I spend a lot of time on, is just the wrong information being provided, or I'm told I need a bezel for a switch. Well, a bezel's a nut, I get that, but if I don't know what type of switch it is, I can't order the right part for it. So
That's why, yeah.
it gets very frustrating, because then I had to go pull the switch out of the wall, take pictures of it, and then had to go take care of it.
And I don't know this because I don't understand.
And that's just,
but is that your job
people,
or is that Doug's job? Like what I'm trying.
Well, I'm a working supervisor, so
Right.
my job description still is I am supposed to work. out on an as-needed basis. But, there comes a point in time where I got to get stuff. This stuff's got to get done.
Right, but the
know.
board's been, and this is where Casey's in a bad, because the board doesn't want Casey doing work, right? They want him in more of an administrative role, but the stuff has to get done, right? So either Casey's got to show somebody how to do it, or Casey's got to do it. And sometimes it's easier to just do it. So my question is GCA supposed to have somebody that's supposed to be showing somebody how to do it? Because that's my understanding of the contract. Casey's supposed to be there as the director of facilities to oversee it. He's not supposed to be training people. That's not our role, I don't think. So if that is our role, we have to relook at the whole
I've been
thing.
taking guys to mechanical rooms, and I've been showing them,
So-
hey, this is what it is,
Yeah, it's-
and so on and so forth.
It's a dual situation. Okay, first, because at the beginning we don't know where everything is when we just came in,
Right.
and we need to rely on Casey. There's many things that we would like to have in written. How the plans and PMs, which they don't exist, so we have to rely on Casey. Many of the things that we do about the parts, and he knows because I've been hammering my guys that whenever they do the work orders, they have to establish a model and a serial and a picture and everything, so his job is easier. And that's something that we've been improving and doing so. About the two guys working together, at the beginning we have them that way, and sometimes now it's because they have to go open a ladder, and it's safe. It's more than a safety issue sometimes to have the guys, both guys working together, especially if they need to go to the roof to have someone there. We've been working with Casey and try to work with the guys so he can assign the work orders to the guy with that has the most skill for specifics. We did some changes in the maintenance and stuff. We took one of the persons that obviously he was not the right person to be in. We are just waiting for. We presented to the district today all the background checks for a new maintenance person that's going to come in. As soon as Lisa told me, okay, that person is going to be in, and that will be another person for the maintenance staff. Some of the guys we have counseled them, and we have followed some of the procedures that Casey has asked us to do to ensure that they fulfill all the work orders and the way they are, and that's what we are right now.
Another question I have, just on custodial staff. If you hire new custodial staff and they come in second shift, who trains them? Do they get trained, or they just give it? I mean, I understand it's cleaning, right? And hopefully most people know that's how you clean, But does the head custodian train those employees, or do they just get thrown on and here's a checklist, go clean?
No, we have someone that, whoever they go assigned, we have someone working with them at the beginning, so they know where to go. It's not we just throw them around. We always have someone that's been in the building or who knows what he's doing to work with that person for a week or so, whatever we need.
But that's not a person in any type of supervisory capacity, correct?
No.
So if the person that's training them, if the person who's training, if they're not doing what the person that's training them's telling them,
Well,
there's really no recourse, because
well, we
I'm trying to figure out how this is working here.
obviously we're gonna assign someone who knows what he's doing, who knows the building, to guide that person where it needs to be done. It's not just anyone in particular who's gonna do it.
Well, the pictures that, we just saw a picture it came out in our superintendent's report last night, and I say it's Monocacy, where there was some type of splatter on the wall. Maybe somebody dropped some food or whatever it was.
There's probably mold in
And
the
this,
floor.
and the solution was somebody painted over it with a different color than the rest of the wall. So now you have whatever it was underneath the low coat of paint, which doesn't match the whole wall. So again, but who manages that process? And, as soon as I made that first roll, well, this paint don't match. So I'm either going the full distance of the wall, or just not doing a foot, 2 foot here, and 6 inches over here.
Well,
I mean,
and
that's
depending on what
totally
it was, If it
unacceptable.
wasn't clean, it's just gonna bleed through the paint.
I will tell you this, I've been asking since Christmas for those areas to be cleaned and to be scrubbed properly.
I have your
And-
emails and texts.
And they weren't done. And they weren't done. And I can show you a picture on my phone that I went into Amity during the snow, grabbed the cleaning product out of your guys' custodial closets and a soft bristle brush, and went underneath that hand dryer, sprayed it, took the soft bristle brush, grabbed the towel and wiped it, and every bit of dirt came out of those little pockets in those walls. It has been an ongoing issue. It was the same issue we had in the stairwells of the high school, of them not cleaning them the right way, and they wanted to paint over it. You know, and you know, the instructions were given, no painting to be done without me seeing it first. And that was even when the high school stairwells were painted, you know, before they were cleaned. I happened to see, it was kind of funny, ironic, I should say funny, ironic that that was in the superintendent's report, because I saw it on Wednesday when I was at Monocacy plowing. I went in to use the bathroom. I was like, I'm going to go ahead and check the bathrooms while I'm here to see how they look. You know, and there was this big area that was the wrong color. I wasn't asked to provide any paint
Okay, so you
for
were in
that.
my office when I show you the paint.
There was a gallon of paint on the
And I show
floor.
you the paint, and I say, this is the one that we're gonna use in Monocacy. And you told me, yeah, that's okay.
I said that's the lamb's, whatever the color is, but there should have been a match of the paint. I thought you were using that paint at the high school.
No.
I didn't think you were using the Monocacy.
I-
But irregardless, Doug, and the color being the wrong color, the fact is I've been asking since Christmas for those walls to be cleaned and to be cleaned the proper way. And on 3 different occasions, I went into the custodial closets, grabbed your cleaning supplies, and cleaned those spots. I'll show you the picture of Amity. And I said, we're going to hold off on all painting until summer, until we can dry everything, and we're going to make a decision whether we're going to put a protective fiberglass coating on there or we're going to put a stainless steel panel on there. So when I walked into that bathroom, I was very surprised to see fresh paint. And the only reason I knew it was fresh paint was because it was a different color.
Is all that paint still in the basement of Monocacy?
I believe so.
I think there's.
That was leftover paint from construction. If it's still sealed, it could be used.
Right, but if it doesn't match,
Well,
I
but
mean,
there's the
it's
picture.
been 8 years. So
Yeah, I got a copy.
obviously the paint on the wall is probably going to be a different color.
it'd probably be closer, but nevertheless.
True.
Back to the hiring of a new maintenance person. Right now, the concern that Tamara expressed, short, we don't have enough hours, and the concern that Mr. Wolf expressed, qualified people. As I review the hourly reports when they come in, now, the one that just came in this past week for January, contract calls out for 720 hours a month for maintenance. And that's where the biggest shortfall seems to be. That's 180 hours a week, 4 hour, or a 4-week month. With the additional hiring that you're referring to, that you're waiting on clearances or whatever, how many maintenance employees will we have, full-time, FTEs? 4. Does that include Ken Templin? Because.
Yeah, but he's a first shift custodian.
Well,
Right.
that's my concern. He's listed under maintenance,
He's the head custodian, isn't he?
He's the head
At
custodian.
the high school.
but he shows up on the labor report as maintenance.
Is he doing?
So
He
if
does
he's
Is he doing
included,
maintenance?
He does basic maintenance, he does deliveries, and that's also another concern I have is we are leaving the high school with a lady who doesn't speak very good English on a very busy high school when Kenny's out doing deliveries. You know, and I've expressed that concern many times to Doug. I said, we can't have that school unattended.
Well, he
You know.
does deliveries when he doesn't have the function to do a lunch.
okay,
Or-
so
or
he's
we
not,
have some-
he's not 40 hours a week maintenance.
No.
No.
All right, so the latest labor report shows a Calvaresi, a Scott, and a Denby, DHEMBI.
Just administrative.
He's showing up under maintenance. DHEMBI is under maintenance.
We have 2 full-time maintenance people here.
Yeah, she shouldn't be, she's administrative.
Yeah, she's administrative. There's no maintenance.
We have Scott
Listed
James
under maintenance on
and Mike
the labor
Calvaresi.
sheet.
Yes, that's got many error.
Well, it's listed a number of times here. Jonilda, the first name.
You
That's,
see that?
yep, that's clearly under maintenance.
The paint.
So then the January report,
Like
I've
several
only
spots.
got two
Yeah, but the problem is
potentially
they-
full-time maintenance, Calvaresi and Scott. And the contract calls out for 4.5 full-time maintenance employees a month. But during January, Calvaresi and Scott,
Actually, James. His last name is James. It's Scott James. Just so you don't.
oh yeah,
Yeah, it should be Scott James.
maybe that's under backwards too.
It's one of those people with two first
Okay.
names. I hate those people.
Just they're just.
Never
Like
trust
Jeff
somebody
Scott,
with two
Jeff
first
Scott,
names.
James Scott.
That's what we always say.
All right,
His name's
so
James.
Calvaresi and James are the only two maintenance employees. You're saying this Jonilda Demby is administrative,
Yeah.
but we're crediting you for maintenance hours for that individual, because, as well as Ken Templet. So what, the point I'm trying to make is, if we're calling out for 720 hours of maintenance, that explains why the work isn't getting done. We're way short.
Right.
George, who manages that? Who's
January-
responsible for managing that we have a full complement?
Well, with Doug, and we also have a support staff, Tony Massenberg, who's our staff engineer. He also assists with that as well.
Why is it that our business officer and our buildings and grounds manager are bringing this to your attention?
Well, I mean,
January you should have,
Well, I'd like an answer.
yeah,
well, I mean, we shouldn't have to, first of all. That's the thing. But secondly, I didn't know we were behind on maintenance. Some of this is a little bit.
I understand
Yeah, yeah, I didn't know. I
you're
didn't-
above. You can only react to what somebody's telling you.
Right,
Who's
right.
that person that should be managing this process?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Doug manages this on site and manages that process, and he is backed up by support staff.
Do you think he's doing an adequate job?
Well, I think he's doing pretty good, but not knowing that where we were on the maintenance piece, and I said, well, okay, I've got to reassess it and then put the right things in place, which we will.
Do you know that when I had the conversation with my opposite number at Quakertown, do you know this is almost the exact same conversation that he was having? Apparently, I wasn't there. That
Right.
he said he was having with you guys exactly the same problems that we're dealing with now.
Well, I can say this, I wasn't a part of that thing. I'm interested in your problem and taking care of your problem.
Sure.
If we're behind on maintenance, we'll get the staff in here to make sure it's taken care of.
Well, but what I'm getting at is there was the complaint that he told me about was it was a lack of being able to manage people and manage the process. Now that problem just came here, and again we're in the same problem with managing people and managing the process, and now it's affecting you because this doesn't look good on you or GCA for that matter that we're having this conversation 8 months after you took over this contract. We still don't have a full complement. We're not being billed directly. The work that we're getting done is substandard. Okay?
All of it.
No, I'm not saying, I'm talking about we're talking about the maintenance, okay, in general. All right? And, how this is being managed. I mean, I'm not happy with it. I'm not going to speak for the rest of the board, but I know that, our business manager has concerns with it. Casey has concerns with it. So now we're concerned. So I'd just like to know, what, I don't know if it's another discussion we have to have with Jim and yourself, on what the best way to move forward is. But as it stands right now, we're not happy.
Okay. All right.
Well, and I'll be honest, I kind of wish Jim was here because we had this conversation at facilities in December or
a while
January,
ago.
and we were told that was going to be taken up with you at that time. So if it hasn't been taken up with you, we're now 4 months further behind. I thought that there were emails that were getting copied to George.
I've been copying
and
George now in the last probably 2 weeks.
That's why we asked you to come here, because we sat here 3 months ago and I'll be honest, we were told GCA was going to be at the facilities meetings. I think 1 or 2 meetings Doug's been at. I mean, we've had these issues, and we're 8 months. Like Mike said, we're 8 months in. Now we're at a point where, okay, the contract's up in July. If we decide we want to go a different route, how do we do that? It's 3 months away, 4 months away, but our issues haven't been addressed. So now they're pushed off. We're still going to be probably in the contract another year, and if they don't get met next year, now you got 2 years of maintenance on buildings that haven't been done. You've got Monocacy, which was an 8-year-old building, which was beautiful, that is going downhill. I mean, there's stuff that's not being done, and we're not getting answers. So that's why we asked you to be here, and like Mike said, we're not happy. So how do we resolve this?
Well, definitely, I want to take an assessment and look at what's out there real quick, and then whatever we got to put in place to make that happen, we will.
I think what would be really helpful is, so I think there's been similar type of promises, and I think what we need to see is like a timeline. I think we need to know, whatever your assessment is, how long do you think that'll take? Like, let's just say 2 weeks. Just throwing a number. 2 weeks, and then after 2 weeks, you'll provide us with some type of plan. Like, these are the gaps that you see, and then maybe we can compare notes and say, yeah, okay, you've identified the gaps that we see, and then you can tell us like how you're going to address them and how long it'll take. This hour shortage has been going on since day one. So, I mean, saying it over and over doesn't seem to matter. And I think, and I don't want to gang up on you.
No, you're just trying to tell me a problem, so we.
But I think what really needs to happen is we need to know that you're completely aware of what the problems are, and then have a plan to fix them, and when. Like, we need a date. We need to know that my goal is, and maybe you don't hit it, but like, hey, in 2 months, I'm going to have this group fully staffed.
My concern, my big concern is the day-to-day operations, the staffing for the day-to-day operations of all trades.
Yes.
We have Mike Marino on grounds, and we have 2 Jose's. Okay, nice guys. English is not very good. There's a definite communication challenge there at times with them because.
Which isn't we're not blaming
right,
it on
but,
you.
no, but they hired him.
Right.
But they hired him,
Right.
and it's
If they
so
don't have
now
somebody
the
that
one
can
kind of
communicate
translates
with
to
them.
the other one, and I know it's a challenge for Mike. I mean, I know it's a challenge for Mike. I don't know if Mike has expressed that to you or not, Willie, but it's a huge challenge. I'm gonna use just an example of some of the thought processes with those staff members. We had a play at the middle school. They're supposed to use an electric leaf blower to clean up the debris in the seats. They don't like the way that blows air, so they went and got a gas-powered leaf blower and used that inside the middle school auditorium. So that is and I'm not trying to pick on the people, but that is the mindset that exists because they're not properly trained. I see it when they mow grass. There's gouges and there's ruts and there's bark off of trees and the whole 9 yards. And I expressed that with Mike. The one guy's gone. I understand that. I have issues with the custodial side. I sent Doug an email this morning. I copied you on it with the picture of the dust bunny on my finger. That was 6 inches of the top bar of the partition that I wiped off. The bathroom stank. There's definite dirt underneath urinals. So you have staff turnover. I know there's 3 more people leaving. I believe it's 3 more. I heard through the grapevine, possibly 4. If it all transpires.
It's 4 of ours.
4 of ours. Now, I have yet to receive the updated employee list from when these other 2 new hires came on, which I'm supposed to be provided day 1 when they start. So there's a definite staffing issue. There's a definite communication barrier between some of the staff. I mean,
And that comes from, just because I've got to go, but custodial, on the custodial side, if you have a language barrier and you have one of your custodial staff training one that has a language barrier,
It's
what
gone.
responsibility? You don't have it as a managerial role. It's one of your other staff. They're being paid equally.
Well, that's where I was
That's where
trying to
that
go
communication
earlier. If you don't
barrier is.
have- right.
That's very difficult, because I was speaking with one of your staff, and that was a huge issue. So that person didn't get trained. How can you train someone if you can't talk to them or understand? So
I spent a lot of my time,
Thanks.
going around and just verifying that things are done, or look into things, and just, kind of watching things. There's cobwebs in a bathroom that have been there for a month and a half, and I'm not telling you where, but I'm sure they'll get cleaned. But it's a month and a half. I mean, how is your staff not seeing that? I mean, it's, these urinals here. There's orange stuff caked on the side of the urinals. That's only developed in the last 6 months.
Okay, see, that's not true.
Absolutely, it's true, Doug. Doug, I used these bathrooms for the last 2.5 years. Those stains were not there prior to about 5-6 months ago, and I'm just going to tell you that. And you can say I'm wrong with that. I'm not going to sit here and argue about it. I'm just telling you, it's not just here.
Well, and that was my point with, I'm not gonna, I know there's been discussions that the high school wasn't in the best shape or the clean, that's why I'm kind of looking at Monocacy as the building to look at as a meter. Because Monocacy was new. Monocacy's been kept beautiful. Monocacy's been clean. If that building is not as clean as it should be, then I doubt that any of them are. Because that one you can tell. I mean, you can tell that it's not clean because it was clean. So, our problem is, what do we do now? Because...
Well, we are doing it. Bring it to George's attention,
March.
give him a chance to they got to be addressed.
Yeah, definitely. First of all, I know we can do it. We can fix it. Some problems, if I can't fix what I don't know about. What I do know about, I can't fix. We're working through people. And, I know there's been some concerns of turnover and those kinds of things. When people get a better opportunity, they get a better opportunity, they're going to go to that opportunity, and I can't hold that person back. However, we're charged with, all I'm concerned about is Daniel Boone School District, how we take care of you guys, and making sure that we get the best out of our people. We have a weekly training session, which is called Method of the Week. They look at a test, and they take a test on cleaning cleaning procedures and how to do those things.
Is that happening here?
Yes, we are doing Method of the Week training. The other thing is,
How does
Do you
that
have-
get
do you have-
administered? And
Okay,
how's
it's
that
a-
recorded? Like, how do I
Lauren, you have
know?
to go, I'm sorry.
okay, it's a,
I have,
Oh, Lauren.
I have the personnel
Oh,
meeting.
you have personnel too? Okay.
okay.
So, he has one more thing. I'm sorry, but I want to hear that. But Lauren needs
Well,
something
I guess
before he goes.
Back to the billing.
Yeah.
Obviously, somebody's being listed in the wrong classification, because all I can go on is what your office sends me
Right.
when I do the calculation for paying your invoices. If they're not accurate, we've got a real problem there, because I submitted a report, a 6-month report to the Finance Committee showing how much should have been provided, how much was provided, what's the deficiency. That report is off the mark, off the charts now, because apparently there's a problem in Cleveland or wherever this email comes from monthly. Like I say, the one I referred to was the January that I received last week. I don't have February's yet, but we need accuracy in the
Back
billing.
to Casey, I guess.
You want to leave it exactly pristine like we found it?
Yeah, we'll clean
I'll
it
clean
up.
it up.
But no, I am interested to hear how you do
Yeah.
your weekly training sessions.
Yeah,
Sorry, guys.
what it is, it's a topic for that week. It's sent out, and they go over with the employees. It may be, how to wipe down a desk, or how to clean a toilet, and they go over that. Now we follow up, of course, in our inspections and those kinds of things. We'll see that. I'm sure there's something around here that's dirty that doesn't meet that criteria. But as we get around, because I've just started kind of coming here recently a lot more, just to see if we are getting in the areas we need to get to.
But who goes over that? Is that like the head custodian? I mean, I guess what I'm trying. How does that transpire?
I do that.
You do that.
Managers.
When I go to the buildings and I see the workers, I don't do them in a group because everyone is. But I take a specific thing that I do, like they're wiping the desk, not to spray directly to the table, into the rice or whatever when we're cleaning the bathrooms. I do that in a personal one-on-one with them.
Do they sign off on that or anything? I guess to me, if it's a weekly training or there should be something that's saying this was done, whether it goes in the file. Otherwise, how do you know if it's really being done or not? I'm just asking a question. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm saying because that was a big part of the GCA presentation was we train our employees. We have weekly this, we do monthly, we do these things. Well, how do we know if that's being done?
It's very informal, as it happens in the way that we go. Every time that I go to any of the buildings and I see the custodians, I stop. I go almost to all the schools, to 4 of the schools every day in the afternoons, and they're working, and that's how I do it.
But Doug, you're here day to day.
Yes.
So, just what did you see the bathroom with the paint on the wall?
Yes.
And what was your reaction to that?
Well, that's why we stopped it. Because at the moment that he was doing that, that's when we stopped it. The idea was there was a section in the wall outside that if we scrub in the way that we wanted, the paint was going to come off. One of the pictures that Casey has, when he scrubbed the wall, all the paint comes off. So we wanted to have something that after we clean, to paint it again. And unfortunately, we had the wrong color, and that's why we stopped.
And so do you rely solely on your customer feedback to know if your crew are cleaning the building properly?
No.
Or do you have your own assessment of your crews?
Actually, after we finished that, we took, we have our pictures when we
You're talking about
finished.
outside folks that aren't associated with the account.
Well, both actually. So, like,
Myself, I
if
come
you
in,
hire
yeah.
a contractor, I mean, like, I guess you want to know, you want to review their work to make sure, do I want to keep using them if I'm going to use them? But for your own employees, do you rely on the schools to tell you
No.
how the cleaning's going? Or are you assessing their performance on your own?
Yes.
We have an in-house
We're
inspection
doing
program.
inspections.
Well, and I was going to ask about that too, because I believe we were also told there'd be like, I don't know if it's being about weekly walkthroughs of every building, and then there'd be like quarterly reports, almost like report cards.
Right.
I haven't seen anything as a board member. I don't know.
That was one of the things that was
Lauren
discussed
and them
was-
aren't here, but we were told we would get basically report cards as to how the schools were doing, how the walkthroughs were going,
Some
what
type
they,
of reporting that shows the number of work orders, how many were completed, the cycle time, were they completed on time?
But also for the custodial stuff,
And-
are the supplies there? Do they have paper towels? Do they have soap? Are the toilets clean? Those kinds of things. I haven't seen any of that, so I
I
don't
think
know.
it was some kind of a survey that you said that you asked the administrators
Right.
to fill out, like on a monthly basis for them to say, so that you can identify where there might be gaps in performance.
I mean, Doug and I were doing walkthroughs every morning, and then we had like 2 weeks there where I just was running around
You
like a
got to- I'm
madman.
not
So
being
we just
rude. You shouldn't have to walk through
but
every
I'm
school
saying
every day.
we were doing them, and we were seeing points that weren't being done and stuff like that, and kind of we both agreed that hey, it's getting a little crazy trying to do it every morning at 9 o'clock, and we stopped them for a couple weeks, and I was kind of doing my own walkthrough assessments when I was in the buildings and that kind of stuff, and So I mean, we were doing, we were doing that. As far as the report cards, I don't remember seeing any of those either. I remember that was, one of those things that was gonna happen with the principals. And there again, I just figured I didn't see it. I figured it went to Lauren with the reports and stuff like that. So, kind of thing. So that I don't know about.
No, we hadn't done the report cards yet, but we are doing the walk. We don't just rely on the customer because, let me give this example. Like I walk into high school, every time I walk into high school, I want to just stop and I want to strip the floors. And one of the things we want to do this summer is
I'm right there with you.
we want to strip all the finish off of those floors and get it to where we can polish that rock, so it's got that look. But it can't happen now because it's going to be a very labor-intensive and monumental task. But that's the kind of mark we want to make, and that's what we're going to walk through. And I've been coming up here a lot more in the last 3 or 4 weeks because we're now getting to the point where we're following up on, okay, where are we really right now? And we're looking at those things, and we want to fix the stuff that's dirty or not right, and the things that aren't working is fine. Now in that, there's a number of other things that you got employee turnover, but that's not your problem. That's my problem. At the end of the day, you deserve, and your kids should have a clean building. That's what we're going to have.
I think some of the issues on the custodial side are lack of overlap of people, meaning there's not a surplus of people here to cover areas. If somebody's out for a couple days, middle school. I'll use the middle school as an example. We had, I forget what it was, 4 or 5. So each one of them had like 13 rooms. Okay, but when somebody was out, if there was 5 there, the 4 remaining people
Each
all
took 3
took like
rooms
2 or
or
3
yeah.
rooms. I can tell you in some buildings that does not happen. Not every building, but I know for a fact some buildings it doesn't happen.
So
You
those
know.
rooms just don't get
So
cleaned.
those rooms just
Somebody's
don't
out.
get touched. And that may happen for 1 or 2 days. Then the email comes to the teacher, hey, my trash hasn't been empty for 2 days. So we always know who is out because that's when the trash cans aren't emptied for those 2 or 3 days, kind of thing. So I think there's needs to be a protocol for you guys that if this person is out, this person has these areas, or there's not that cohesive group that we used to have, because the language barrier is there, Birdsboro was a mess. I mean, there were 2 people caught watching movies in a classroom. They hooked up an Apple TV. They went into. That's the stuff that was happening, unless I get caught. And that's my concern is, I'm here during the day. I don't really want to be here all night long
What?
having
Yeah.
to check either. But there needs to be some type of game plan for those people because, and you and I've had this conversation. You get what you get for the money you're willing to pay for custodians. They're going to do what they need to do, and that's what they're going to do. And that's what custodians do. That's why they're custodians. They want a set amount of chores to do, and that's what they're going to do. But they need to understand that some nights that chore needs to kind of extend. And that's where I've seen a lot of the email complaints, and then I'll go in and I'll say to somebody, hey, was somebody out? Oh yeah, that person was out, and no one did their area, kind of thing. So that, and maybe that's been resolved, but I know that was very prominent in the past.
Well, quite honestly, I haven't heard a whole lot of complaints, and I've heard, you sent me some stuff here and there, but I haven't had not a whole lot of complaints from the principal or the school. And we actually go around and we visit, and I haven't really heard anything. Of course, there's going to be some isolated thing. Now, I'm not the type of person going to walk through and say, okay, well, nobody's saying anything, so I guess it must be fine. No, that's never the case, because cleaning is repetition, and it's also it's a different dynamic every single day. So,
And yes, there have been chances, there have been some times that we miss a trash can now and then. And at the beginning, there was that overlap didn't exist. That's not the case anymore because we have assigned all the people. And if not, then I ask some of the other guys some of the guys during the day, they stay over and they come and help the schools in case we need to have the coverage. That's
So to your point about you haven't heard complaints, there's supposed to be, what we were told was there would be some mechanism to provide feedback from the administrators, so they could, on a regular basis, right, so that,
They email, if there's an issue, Doug and I get an email. I can tell you that. So, I mean, if
So they are
those-
providing feedback.
If those complaints aren't being forwarded to George, that something needs to be addressed. I know for a fact, the email, because I have a folder on my inbox, says GCA complaints. I just grab that email and it goes over there. I think I'm about 400 right now.
400.
400.
It's darn close to that one since day one. I went through just to move everything. Spent a weekend getting rid of 9,000 emails. So but there's a large portion of emails there that were complaints. That's from day one. So you're talking July. So there were a lot in the beginning. But I just wanted to put it all in one spot. So if anybody ever questions it, it's there. And listen, I didn't read them. I just slide.
yeah, and I think that's good. But again, it's not actionable. Like you're not going to look through 400 emails. You're not going to get copied on 400 emails. I think, the only way you're going to know is if you see data over time. Like, here's the scores from last month. Bathrooms were a 2, hallways were a 5. Whatever. Whatever.
And I swear I saw some that said we were going to do
we
that.
were supposed to
Or
get
we were
that.
gonna
That
have
was discussed. I mean, that was one of the.
I'd have to go back through my 5,000 emails.
and-
George, we're going to have to discuss that because we really need to be, especially a way to measure, if I can see it, because Doug keeps moving back and forth.
Do you know? I mean,
If we're not, we need to, and we need to discuss it, how we're going to get it done, and make sure that we're not overbearing the principals on, or whoever, because it's typically the principals that do it, and teachers, and we want to make sure that we're doing it at a frequency where they're not. Here we go again, another.
like there's
survey.
emails, and I think those are great. Like but they're point in time issues, right? Like, whatever. Like my trash can needs to be emptied. Okay, someone runs over and empties the trash can. All done. Like I don't want to. Like honestly, like I don't care about that so much. Like that's going to happen,
Yeah,
right? Like what I'm thinking about, like my general theme is that there's 3 areas that seem to be awry every month.
Right.
And then we address them, and then the only way that you're going to get that is
And
with a regular
You need
pulsing
to
of
have
the
a measure. You need to
staff.
have something to measure.
Right.
And sometimes we need to have also the idea of when things happen, okay? If we do an inspection at 7 in the morning and we find a bunch of issues, that's bad. Because everything should have been done the night before. We shouldn't be that complaint. If we do an inspection at 2 in the afternoon, 1:30,
Right.
and we find something, I mean,
Right.
it's difficult to, that's why we do the inspections in the morning. That's why, before going to my office, I always stop in the schools and we do inspections.
Right. If we see trash in the floor at 2:00, I don't know that you care, but you can also tell things that are buildup of time,
Yes,
especially in bathrooms.
I work in
Yep.
an office.
Kitchens.
I know when no one came through and cleaned
Right.
the night before, because you can tell when they do, because it looks like somebody cleaned it, right? Like so, it's not that hard. I mean, we're not talking about any detailed inspection. It's like you're a teacher. You're going into your room every single day. You're walking down the same hallway. You're using the same bathroom. You're coming through the same door. You're parking in the same spot. You walk by the same hedge. You see it. And when you see something out of place, you know it.
Well,
So
and I wonder if maybe you
you
could design a survey monkey or something that
We-
every 2
That's
weeks
what I
or
thought
once
you
a
have
month
it, right?
goes
Yeah,
out.
Yeah, we got it.
I'm positive that was told that we were
Right, but
it's gonna happen.
we're told a
No,
lot of
something,
things.
it's not getting to you guys. We've got a inspector, this clean television inspection.
like
Just have to-
we get them. I get them.
this is what I use. It's called Clean Intelligence, okay? And that produces a report,
Okay,
which I
so
send,
we're
and if
right.
this is some of the
We're
report
not
that
gonna
tells
use.
you how efficient we were in the cleaning. And it goes, I have it by school, I have it by section.
But who provides the input for that?
When I do my inspections.
When you do
He
it.
does
Yes.
it.
Do we
I do
have,
the
do
inspection.
we have
Okay.
folks from the district doing inspections, or is it just you?
No,
Just me.
nobody else does it.
But I think
Well,
it's
and
important to have
efficiency, yeah,
the,
because I don't mean to be rude. You guys are worried about efficiency, right? Because you're looking at it from a business perspective. We're looking at clean.
Well, we're looking at
So-
quality.
We're looking at,
Okay,
I mean,
well,
We're looking at a lot of different things.
well,
looking at
sorry.
both, but
Right,
the point I'm
but-
making
but-
is that the people who are, the customer, the teachers, the administrators, they're the ones who are going to see it, right? They're the ones who are going to feel it. So
Well, and I just said, because I didn't, he said that measures the efficiency. I don't know what you mean by that, right? But I
If it is clean.
I don't care so much about the efficiency of the cleaning. I care about whether it's clean.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that to be smart.
Yeah.
That's just the business
well,
end
one
of it
guy,
isn't
I
my.
mean, you can't cover
our issue.
5 schools by yourself. Like it's not. That's not.
Well, I don't do the whole 6 schools in one day.
But I guess what I'm getting at is if you pulse the staff on a regular basis,
Right, you would know.
you would have the data for every week. You could have it, once a week, once a month. I don't care, whatever the, once a week. I answer these 6 questions: where the hallway's clean, where the bathroom's clean, when my, it doesn't have to be like the windowsills and like you don't have to have 30 points of data points. You just need high level, and then when you find one that's bad, then maybe you ask some detailed questions about that. Like, okay, this has been a bad number for months. What about the bathrooms is a problem? Well, there's no soap. Well, if that's all it is, well, shit, I could just put some more soap in there. Problem solved. Number goes up, right? Like it's.
Yeah, we can do it.
I think what we need to do, and George, if I'm speaking out of line, jump
go
in,
ahead,
please.
go ahead.
I think what we need to do is we need to come to some sort of resolution internally, and then if possible, be able to come back with some of our own findings in a month. Obviously, we'll communicate before then. We'll share that freely and openly with what we're planning on doing, but I still think that the other folks, Lauren and everyone else that was in the room to start the meeting, needs to hear what we
No, I
come
think
to our
that would be
conclusion.
good, but I will double check what the April facility is. I mean, it's usually the second Tuesday, but it's trying to get that other meeting in with it. We might be changing it. It's hard to do a 5:15 and a 6:15 when you got a 7:30.
Would you have, I'm sorry, would you have some time that you could walk with me, one of the schools?
Sure. Yeah, I can do that.
what I've done in the past, this is the thing I did. We put a complaint book, for lack of a better example, in the office. Teacher comes in, she writes it down. I don't want to give them an extra chore to do, and the email works fine. It allows us to see a specific pattern within that school. Okay, true enough, we're walking around, we see certain things that ought to be better, but it could have been a nuance of some event happening, and it's just not happening for whatever reason. But that also was helpful as one component, not the only component, but it was one component to make sure that we are meeting all the needs. Because I could walk through here and it's something that you see every day, and I said, oh my God, that doesn't look too well. Like when I go in, what's the middle school down here? When I go to middle school, I see all those black spots, drives me nuts. Can't wait to strip the floor. but other people are like, oh, okay, it's fine because it's been like that because there's some
They
kind of...
see it all. They don't even see it.
Yeah, they don't
Well,
see
but
it.
that's
That drives me- it
that's
drives
a
me
good
nuts.
point though,
Yeah.
because what pisses someone off isn't the same for everybody,
Yeah, that's my
like you
point.
the floors bother you, but for some other person it's just the trash.
Yeah.
Like I just want my trash can empty. Just empty my trash can and I'll be happy. Like that's
Yeah.
where the survey comes into play because
Or if they have a bad day.
well, I mean the
Well,
complaint
some
book is
teachers are just going to complain about the same
right.
thing.
You're
over
going to
and
get
over and
the
over
same
again. That's
teacher
just the
filling
way
out
it
your
is.
complaint book all the time, which
But then you
Well, at
learn.
least
But
I
then you
know
learn that it's the same
I can-
complainant too, and you know
Right,
that.
but I'm just saying, like you create a simple, like I said, like once a week they answer these 6 questions, 1 through 5. Everyone will comply, and then everyone will do it because they'll know, and it won't just be the people who, the principals just need to tell them, like, hey guys, every Friday I need you to fill this out before you leave, and you'll get good compliance, and then you'll have it, you'll know what you, and you can have them fill it out in the morning, like, hey, I want to. Even if it's like, you want to see it first thing in the morning because that's the real telltale, then they need to have it done by 8 o'clock or whatever. I don't know. Like it wouldn't be that hard. I mean, if you had 50% of the teachers telling you what, giving you your feedback, you'd have
Good and bad.
You'd have data instantly.
Yeah. And I agree. I can tell old dirt from new dirt. I can. I really can. But I want to make sure that we're taking care of our customers, our kids, our teachers.
make sure that we're getting what we're supposed to get.
I just think, I think the staff on the custodial side need to be trained properly, not instructed by somebody who already works there. That there needs to be a protocol of your guys' standard operating procedures of this is how GCA cleans a bathroom. This is how GCA cleans a classroom. Because I can tell you, I have witnessed staff go into a classroom, kind of walk around, grab the trash, walk out. I've seen other staff go in. I'm not saying our staff, your staff. I'm saying staff, because some of the new hires you guys have are phenomenal. The little
And we had
short blonde
issues
that
with
works
some of
over
our
here, I
own
forget her
people,
name.
so.
She's great, but you know, there are
This is a problem for you.
there are people who care, and there's people who don't care.
Yeah.
You know, and there definitely needs to be a training procedure, because I can watch the same people, your employees, take a dry mop, you know, and dry mop a hallway, and there's 4 different ways they do it. You know, 2 ways leave dirt behind, 2 ways clean the dirt up. You know, it just it doesn't seem that there is the thorough training that I would consider a thorough training, you know, kind of thing. Even the staff that was here before from Boone, some people clean certain ways, some people clean different ways. The summer you guys took over, I had an instructor coming in for 3 days to literally, okay, this is how we clean the floor. This is how we clean the bathrooms.
And,
you
so,
know,
and listen, some
to,
of our
you know.
people were probably
Absolutely.
would have been on their way out had
Absolutely.
had we not went with you
Absolutely.
guys. Because Casey was
Right.
brought in new. It took, you know, he wasn't really here long enough to get rid of those people yet, because you got to give them time and figure
Yeah.
out, you know, who's what. And so we're not saying all our people were great.
No,
Everybody
I'm not
you got
either.
were great. I mean, I'm sure some of them have issues.
Yep.
You know, but that's kind of where I was heading with the when you get new hires, you know, how do they get trained? And maybe it's that they come in with the head custodian for a couple days, or maybe the head custodian. I mean, we didn't have head custodians on second shift either, right? We didn't have anybody in charge. But to me, it's almost more important to have somebody in charge on the back shift, because nobody's there during the day. There's other people around that can see what's going on.
There's
At
kind
night,
of an
there's
unwritten
nobody.
rule of on second shift who each building had a go-to person kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Go
You know,
ahead. Go ahead.
you know, not that they were in charge. Like Don Freeman, he was the go-to guy at the high
We
school.
have-
You know,
we have
But maybe
what I
there should
call-
be somebody in charge. If
Well-
We have a point person in the building, which is more or less the person who, what I will call, to
The
check
lead.
this, to do this, to do the other, whatever. We have one of those persons in each building. Not necessarily the person who's gonna go and review that all the work is done properly, but yeah, but we have that kind of person. Also, there's the thing, and you know, there's the other part, that sometimes you train the person in a way that they're supposed to do it, and then when you turn around, they go and do it in another
Right.
way, and that's why we have to be, persistent.
And we had an issue like that on the grounds, and Casey and I have talked about grounds, and after your last meeting in December, there was a concern, I believe I got from Lauren, that you guys were concerned about staffing the spring sports. We put job postings out, and we got folks applied, but they're not, they wouldn't pass a background check. And we'd be in the same situation we're now. So, you know,
As a matter of fact, I'm sorry, I placed another ad today in the newspaper, because in the last one, we don't have no response. And it's not just about the money now, it's just that you don't find enough.
speaking of staffing, and I'm just going to bring up the snowstorm as an example. Halters was put in a very tough spot because he didn't want to let you guys down by saying no to help you do sidewalks. He also didn't want to let us down by not having things clean. But yet,
he didn't have enough
he had
guys.
himself so stretched, so thin, that our place looked like absolute crap on Wednesday. It was horrible. Our places.
Is that why we didn't have school?
No, nobody would have had school on Wednesday. I mean, it's just the side roads weren't
Yeah, it was
real
very
good,
close.
and
It was so
access
cheap.
and stuff like that, just for the
Wednesday
buses
was the
and stuff.
second day,
Wednesday was the second day.
right?
Most schools didn't have.
You know, nobody in the county had school the second
It
day.
was because of
But
ice and stuff on the roads.
but the problem was, you know, Halters was definitely stretched way too thin, and I flat out told Nate he needs to learn the word no. You know, because he was contractually obligated to the school district
Right.
for driveways and parking lots. And unfortunately, he's going to eat a lot of his invoice because I'm not paying it. I'm not paying a good chunk of it because he spent way too many hours cleaning up things he shouldn't have had to clean up. And I'd be very irresponsible doing my job if I didn't hold him accountable for it. You know, so you know, I was very concerned about the snow. It was very evident there was not a game plan in place for the snow by you guys by any means. You know, staffing or equipment or whatever. You know, because you know the building Mike did was clean. Because Mike's Mike and Mike knows how to do it. The middle school was not. The high school was not. Monocacy was not.
You talking about the parking lots or the
Parking
sidewalks?
lot, the sidewalks. You know, so it.
Well, if you only got 2 grounds, guys,
Well, and there again, you know, they don't know what they should be doing and not be doing. I don't know, and there again, you know, I ended up jumping a bunch of curbs at the middle school and plowing sidewalks because they were a mess. You know, there were piles everywhere. There was, you know, a foot of snow, but you know, between the sidewalk and the curb where they just cleaned enough where somebody could walk, and you know, it just. You know, it was just a mess. It was an absolute mess, and it was all because of staffing not knowing what to do, how to do it, and having the care to do it right. You know.
Casey, I'll take some exception to that. You know, I agree with some of it, but I take exception to some of it. When it started snowing, I got up here at 6 o'clock in the morning, and that's when it first started. I was here off and on for the whole thing. And at Monocacy, yeah, there was some on the sidewalk, but it was outside. It was a state of emergency. You know, what I'm looking for is manicured sidewalks. That's what we're going for. That being the, let's say, quote unquote, the first snow, the first real snow. I didn't see it where it was a mess, because what I saw was there were some things that were cleaned off. Monocacy could have been better than it was. I agree with that. The middle school, the long stairs that go up, they just hadn't gotten to those yet. But you know, everything else was getting cleaned off, and the high school was, you know, in pretty decent
Totally
shape.
wrong.
The
calf doors weren't cleaned. The sidewalks at 4:45 p.m. on Wednesday. I was sitting there. Mm-hmm. I personally walked up those steps. There was not a drop of salt there. There was not a footstep on either one of those sets of steps.
Yeah, middle school.
Yeah,
and you're right. You're right on that. That's what
there
I said.
were sidewalks that were missed.
Oh my God! And
There were-
Wednesday it was frozen solid
It was
by
frozen.
Wednesday.
No, there was just a crust on top. It was soft underneath.
Oh, because they didn't do anything.
'Cause they did nothing.
Okay. All right.
There were many doors that are exits from classrooms that just have concrete pads on them that weren't touched.
Which ones?
You know, if we had a fire, all the ones in the back.
Where?
The back, where the greenhouse is going to go, the 2 science rooms, and the stair towers,
Well,
the outside of stair towers. So just what I'm saying is, there again, you know, Ron Hevelo, former Daniel Boone employee, did a horrible job at Monocacy, because when I called him and said, hey, there's sidewalks that aren't done. What sidewalks aren't done? This was on Thursday. I'm at the hospital with my wife. She's getting her port installed in her chest, and I'm answering phone calls, you know, from staff members. What sidewalks aren't being done? What sidewalks aren't done? And I told him, he goes, oh, I forgot about those. You know, and there again, he's a former, I love Ron. I think Ron's a great guy. He did a horrible job. He did a horrible, and I told him that on the phone. I said, Ron, you did, it's your building. You gotta be responsible for your building. You know, sidewalks gotta be clean, you know, and it's not just Sidewalks are doors for people to walk into. We need to make sure all sidewalks are clean, because in today's world, one person
get
slips and
sued.
falls, we're getting sued for a sidewalk that's not clean.
I think it might be,
You know,
might be something that we can
So-
look at for next year.
right? But I'm just
Yeah.
saying. I want to make it very
No, I
clear.
understand, I
You know
understand.
that I
We need a
think
better plan.
that I think you know.
Well, before
Not having your staff here, not having enough staff on the ground side, and not being in the buildings, not being on the grounds long enough to understand where all the sidewalks are and everything is, you know, I think the language barrier between Mike and the boys was definitely a challenge. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, it's a challenge for me at times. I mean, it's a challenge for me. I mean, you know, I told him twice, push to the grass. What's he doing? He's pushing out to out on the macadam. You know, and that's the fourth storm now that they've done it.
Yeah.
You know, and it's and there again something, and it just comes back to staffing. I'm not just picking on grounds. I'm not just picking on custodial or maintenance. It comes back to staffing. You need to have enough people here to do the job. And I honestly, truly believe right now we don't have enough people, trained people that have a basic understanding of what their duties are to get the job done. And that's my honest opinion. And I'm not
Well,
trying
I
to
mean,
be mean when I say that. I'm just, that's my honest opinion.
I don't know how
you
there's an argument about that, because you guys came up with we had a contract that said this is how many hours we think we need to bill you for to do the job, right?
Well, no,
And-
we told them what
What our
how
current
many
staffing
hours-
was.
But I'm saying, like, there was an
Right, and-
agreed
and
upon
we're short.
head count
Yes,
number that we
yes,
were
correct.
going to be charged for, right? And
Right.
and we haven't even approached that number yet.
Right.
So I mean, that's you know, both sides agreeing this is how many people it's going to take to do this job, right? Like you come in, you assess the job, you say, you know, for grounds, for maintenance, for custodial, and you say, okay, I'm going to need 42 people to do this job, right? Okay, but we're only being billed for whatever 27 or just whatever it is. I mean, so obviously you thought you needed more staff to begin with, right? We don't have it, so I mean, obviously we need more people. But I mean, as far as the snow removal and stuff goes, just like anything else, you know, was there a walkthrough? Did everyone know, like is it just go clear sidewalks, or is it, you know,
Probably.
before the winter, it's you know, it's November, okay guys, let's do a walkthrough, and specifically, you know, the guys in charge, this is what's expected, like this is all the stuff that has to get done, so that there's no question. Like, I mean, I don't, you know, to me it's like that, again, it's like any other operational thing. It's, does everyone know what's expected, or is it just grab a shovel and start clearing sidewalks, and then, hey, I didn't do these, or I did do these, like, I don't know. I mean, I don't want to argue about, you know, whether a sidewalk was or wasn't cleared, but it shouldn't happen, like where the
And the
snow comes
employees
in.
don't know what's expected of them.
Yeah, I mean, someone
It's
should
hard to
be,
hold them
like, you know,
responsible.
it's a team meeting in November. It says, walk around the school, all the guys that are assigned to that school, you know what you're clearing, this is what you have to clear. Everything here, okay, done. Right? And then if it's not done, then, you know, well, we had this conversation, we talked about it, we know.
And that's why Halters is going to eat some of his invoice, because I had those conversations with him and he didn't do his job. You know.
He was stretched too thin trying
He
to
was.
do both.
He was. And he
should've told you guys-
admitted it. He admitted it.
Right,
But he didn't want to. He just didn't want to say no. And I respect that of him trying to get everything done to help you guys out and to make sure the school is open. But it's going
But
to
we
bite him
own
in the
him.
rear. It's going to bite him in the rear. You know.
Anyway.
So.
So, well, I appreciate
Okay.
you guys coming
Oh,
out.
thank
We'll
you.
let you know when we're meeting next month, and
Okay.
we'd
Just
appreciate
needs to be. We
your
need
plan.
to meet.
Your plan action. I think that's. I mean, I think like what Jeff said. I think that's really what's needed. Here's how we're gonna remedy, and here's our dates that we're, you know, our milestone.
I mean, it would
dates
be
and-
good for, I think, you know, again, I think the biggest thing is we need to come to a common ground on what the issues are, like what needs to be addressed, and then a plan of, you know, all right, here's what we're going to do. Like the staffing, you know, I can't speak to the staffing's been an issue from day one. So how that gets fixed, I don't know. I mean, I know you're saying all the right things, and you know, I get it, but you know, what is the plan to get the staffing I don't know what that is. Like if whatever, that's, I think, the number one issue is just getting staffing. And I know it's hard probably in this environment, jobs are available and people are.
Well, and even Casey and I were talking about with the warm winter, a lot of landscape companies didn't lay off
Yeah,
in
right.
the wintertime. They didn't have a reason to. So they just kept going.
It was a short layoff season.
Correct.
Yeah, I know. I mean, my nephew
And that helps us out in the
landscapes,
south
yeah.
all the time because we'll have golf courses lay folks off. We'll come and snatch them up, and we'll have competitors that just do the seasonally lay them off, and we'll come and snatch them up. That did not happen this year. I even reached out to Nate Halter and asked if he had any part-time folks that maybe only work 20 hours a week for him. Would they be interested in coming working the other 20 for us? So we're trying on the ground side. And these guys are as well on the FLM and the historical side.
Yeah, because you would have people working during the winter.
We have all year round. We didn't have seasonal grounds guys
All
in our
right.
press.
Okay.
So,
Great. Thank you.
thank you very much.